And they bring the magazine back, and she goes, "I don't get it. He's Jewish." And what's with the broccoli? But when he wrote "The Emperor Wears No Clothes" in newspaper form, it's got to get this information out. Got to get this information out. It's too important. It needs to be taught at the ground level. It's got to be taught in the elementary schools and the high schools, the people that are going to be voting, the people that are going to be changing the future. He goes, "So tomorrow I'm going to be at your school and I'm handing it out for free." He always pushed forward. And he instilled that in all of us kids. To his daughters, who one has become a teacher, another a nurse, teaching, healing, same, To his son, who took up the business side more than the philanthropic side, which my father never had, and my brother got in spades. To my little brother, who carries on a legacy at our store in Oregon, whom I love. My dad was always an educator, teaching what he believed without any limits to the energy that he put toward it. And the only way I can describe it, with the millions of voices that have not been able to stand up for themselves, he seemed to channel all of their love and their energy into his being. And he really was more of a teacher. He was not a businessman. Horrible. I mean, he basically just, everything he did, he sold. I mean, anybody ever seen my dad drive a new car? That was frivolous to him. It was a van or a car with a broken radiator or a blown tire or had gasket issues, but somehow they always got fixed to get to the next show. He spent every day of his life doing what he loved with the people whom he loved and respected, for the people that he loved. And all of you will remember him as a teacher and a leader. But for us kids, simply he was just our father. Thank you very much.
We live in a world that runs on gas. And gas comes from oil, live stuff from the past, a past longer ago than people on the earth. And when oil gets scarce, it goes up in worth. When oil is burned, it pollutes the air. If breathing is hard, you'd better care, but we gotta keep going, that's what they say. We can't stop burning, fuel is our way. Ford made the first car, it was a Model T. He didn't use gas, that stuff's too dirty. Then what did he use? You'd better know his fuel came from hemp. That's a plant, quick to grow. In a few months it grows 20 feet tall. To the earth it does nothing bad at all. It was the first plant that people grew for rope, food, fuel, medicine. That's all they knew. Later folks wanted to write stuff down. Hemp made good paper. That's what they found. Now we grow paper from slow-growing trees. When I tell you the reason, you'll sink to your knees. A man owned a forest named William R. Hearst. He owned a newspaper, one of the worst. If he sold his trees, he'd make lots of money. But when trees make paper, the results aren't funny. The water gets polluted. We get acid rain. Hearst didn't care. He had money to gain. He knew competition the paper mill couldn't stand. So his newspapers told a story to get him banned. In the 1930s, racism was worse. A fact to be used by William R. Hearst. His yellow press claimed Negroes were wild. Hemp smoke made them act real riled. A white woman, it seems, with a black man had sex. Hearst paper screamed, "This is the hex you've all got to know." No white woman on her end would sink so low. But he didn't call it hemp. Hearst was too smart. He used a Spanish word to set the plant apart. So marijuana was the name. Hame old hemp was given. Fear and loathing were the thoughts upon which law was written. Now alcohol destroys the liver, and that prohibition failed. Yet no one dare grow hemp, knowing they'll be jailed. Yet if it were to be allowed, hemp could save the planet, clean the air, provide food. It grows where land is bare. Save the planet, change the law. We haven't got much time. Don't let greedy oil and paper barons scam another dime.
Richard Marcella.
But what I want to say is, one, we all love Jack to death. I'm glad we're all here. And two, we're judged by the people that we're surrounded by. And looking at these people out here in your faces, you're all changing the world. And to know that Jack had such an awesome cadre of people around him is just earth-shaking to me. And I feel lucky that I've had the opportunity to work with Jack Hara.
He was one of the best people I've ever met in my life, especially on compassion. He taught me passion and compassion in this industry. Now it is up to us. Jack did not get to see the passing of it, totally legalization. Now it's up to each and every single one of us to make his dream come true. If you don't, then you got yourself to blame.
I saw this one guy with a big blanket kneeling down, rolling these joints. He must have had about 50 of them there. And I thought, my God, this guy has just declared marijuana to be legal. Jack, to me, legalized marijuana right there. And I knew it wasn't legal because I'd already been busted 3 or 4 times. So I'd like to, one of the wonderful things that was said here, and I agree with all of them, but I also just like to say, when taking the picture outside at the wonderful poster that says, Jack Hara, R.I.P., rest in peace. I think we all know that Jack is not going to be resting in peace until we get out there on election day and bring everybody with us. Possession of marijuana is not a crime.
And we went to Venice Beach and met him and talked to me then, but it was at the normal conference of 1990 that he gave me his book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and I found a kind soul who read it to me. There was no such thing as going back to my old life. Whatever that was over. When I understood what happened, I knew we had a responsibility to end it, especially the arresting of our brothers and sisters, the war on drugs a war on us, which they call the war on drugs. That's a lie right in itself. But I know that he will not rest in peace because we will not be resting in peace until we get to this cabinet we got up in the White House now, to every member of that cabinet, the letters with our expertise that he has been so emphatically teaching us, and from that book, and you guys, all of us, have to make the change because it's overdue.
I would always get strawberry kisses on the